The human opened his eyes slowly, his head heavy and his body weak. Cold metal walls surrounded him, and the air smelled strange, like chemicals in something rotten. He tried to move, but chains rattled against his wrists, reminding him he was a prisoner. The last thing he remembered was walking in the forest on Earth, then the sudden bright light in the sky, a light that swallowed him whole. Now he was in a place that felt alive. The walls seemed to hum, and strange lights pulsed along the corridors outside his cell. He heard footsteps, heavy and slow, echoing closer. Fear ran through him, but he forced himself to stay silent, listening. A door slid open with a hiss, and two alien guards entered, their bodies tall and armored, their faces hidden behind smooth black helmets. They did not speak to him. Instead, they scanned his body with a glowing device, then pushed him forward. The human stumbled as the chains pulled him into the hallway. The corridor stretched endlessly, lined with glowing panels and glass doors. Behind some of the doors, he thought he saw movement, shapes hidden in the shadows, eyes shining faintly. Watching him, his heart raced, but he forced himself to look away. The guards dragged him into a large chamber, the air warmer here, filled with a low humming sound. At the center of the room stood strange capsules, each glowing faintly, each holding a figure inside. The human blinked, his mind refusing to believe what he saw. Inside the capsules were alien girls, their skin shimmering in strange colors, their eyes closed as if sleeping. But they were not dead. Their chests rose and fell slowly, their bodies trembling as if trapped in a constant pain. The guards pushed him down to his knees, forcing him to look. A voice echoed through the chamber, calm yet cold. "You are the chosen one, human," the voice said. "You have been brought here for a purpose." The human looked around, searching for the source, until he saw a figure high above on a platform. It was another alien, taller than the guards, its body wrapped in long robes, its face hidden behind a mask that glowed with strange runes. "You will serve," the alien continued. "You will tend to them." The human's throat felt dry. "Tend to who?" he whispered. The alien raised one hand, and the capsules opened with a hiss. The alien girls inside staggered forward, weak but alive, their eyes glowing faintly as they looked at him. Some looked broken, some looked afraid, and others looked at him with desperate hope. The human's chest tightened. He wanted to ask more, but the guards lifted him and pushed him toward the alien girls. The robed alien spoke again. "They are in a constant state of production. Their bodies never rest. They cannot stop. They cannot control it." The human's eyes widened in shock, his mind racing. "Why me? Why a human?" he asked. The alien's mask glowed brighter. "Because only you can do what we require." The alien girls whispered softly among themselves, their voices weak but melodic. One of them stepped closer, her skin pale silver, her hair long and glowing faintly. She looked into his eyes and whispered in broken human words, "Help us, please." The human froze, his mind torn between fear and compassion. The guards shoved him again, placing strange tools in his hands. Tools he did not understand. He felt the weight of them, felt the cold metal press into his palms. The robed alien's voice grew sharper. "You will not refuse, human. If you refuse, you will die, and they will suffer more." The human's stomach turned. He looked at the alien girls, their faces filled with silent pain, their glowing eyes begging for mercy. He realized the terrible truth. His task was not for kindness, it was control. The aliens wanted him to harvest from them, to keep them alive, to keep them weak. His role was not savior, but servant. Fear gripped him. Yet deep inside, something burned brighter. He could not let this continue forever. The alien girls were prisoners just like him, maybe even worse, and now he was caught in their fate, forced to choose between survival and rebellion. The guards dragged him back to his cell after the introduction. The human sat in the darkness, his mind full of questions and fear. Who were these alien girls? Why were they trapped in such endless suffering? And why was he chosen of all humans? As the cell door closed, he heard faint footsteps outside, light and careful. A whisper came through the cracks of the wall, a voice soft and trembling. Human. Do not give up, we need you. The human's heart pounded, his eyes wide in the darkness. He realized the prison was full of secrets, and his nightmare had only just begun. The next day began with the sound of metal doors sliding open. The human was dragged out of his cell by the guards, their strong hands gripping his arms like iron. He was pulled through the glowing corridors once again, his chains rattling with every step. Fear grew inside him, but he forced himself to stay calm. They brought him back to the chamber where the alien girls waited. This time, the capsules were open, and the girls sat weakly on the floor, their glowing eyes heavy with exhaustion. The air smelled strange, a mixture of chemicals and something sweet yet bitter. The human's chest tightened as he looked at them. Realizing their suffering was endless, the robed alien appeared again. Standing on the high platform, its mask glowing faintly. You will begin your work, the alien declared, its voice echoing coldly. You will keep them alive. You will keep them producing. Their strength must never fail. If they weaken, you will be punished. The guards placed the strange tools in his hands once more, heavy and cold. He stared at them, his stomach turning. He did not want to use them. But the alien girls looked at him with wide, tired eyes, their whispers soft and broken. One of them spoke again, in a voice trembling with weakness. Please. Gentle, please. The human's hands shook as he obeyed. He did what they forced him to do. His heart ached with guilt. Every action felt wrong. Yet he knew if he resisted, they would suffer more. The guards watched carefully, ready to strike if he slowed down or hesitated. The burden pressed heavy on his shoulders. Hours passed, though time felt twisted in this prison. The human felt his body weaken too, the chains heavy, the work endless. But unlike the alien girls, he had a choice. He could fight back one day. For now, he learned quietly, watching the tools, the systems, the guards' movements. Every detail was burned into his memory during a short rest. The alien girls sat close to him, whispering in their strange voices. Some spoke words he could not understand, but their eyes spoke louder pain, hope, and fear. One girl, her skin shimmering faint blue, leaned close and whispered in broken human tongue, You. Different, not like them. You care. The human swallowed hard, guilt pressing on him. I don't want to hurt you, he whispered back. I want to help, but I don't know how. She touched his hand weakly, her fingers cold and trembling. Then, wait. Wait for chance. The words cut deep into his heart. A spark of determination flickered inside him. The robed alien returned at the end of the shift, its voice sharp and commanding. The human has begun his duty, it said. He will continue. His hands will serve us, and his heart will not matter. The guards dragged him back to his cell, but this time, his eyes stayed on the alien girls until the last moment. Their glowing eyes followed him too, silently begging for freedom. In the dark cell, he sat against the cold wall, his mind racing. He hated what they forced him to do. He hated the chains, he hated the cruelty. But more than hate, he felt responsibility. He was the only human here. And somehow, the aliens had chosen him for this burden. Why a human? Was there something about him that made him different from the others? Sleep refused to come, his thoughts heavy and restless. The whispers of the alien girls echoed in his ears. Help us. Wait for chance. He clenched his fists, his chains rattling softly. I will not be their slave forever, he thought. I will not let them suffer alone. Days passed in the same cruel rhythm, dragged from his cell, forced to serve, forced to watch their pain. But with every day, he learned more. He saw the cracks in the system. He noticed when the guards grew lazy. He memorized the rhythm of the patrols, and slowly, silently, he began to plan. The alien girls noticed his quiet strength. Some whispered more to him, sharing small secrets. One told him of a hidden passage they had seen once before their capture. Another spoke of a weakness in the guard's armor. Piece by piece, the human gathered hope from their whispers. But the burden grew heavier too. The guilt never left him. Every time he followed orders, every time he used the tools, he felt his soul darken. Yet he forced himself to endure, because every moment alive was another chance to find escape, another chance to fight back. One night, as he sat in his cell, he heard the soft tapping again, the secret whispers through the cracks. In the wall, this time, the voice was stronger, clearer. "Human, we trust you. Do not give up. They think you are weak, but we see your fire." The human closed his eyes, breathing slowly. The burden was heavy, almost crushing. But now it was not his alone. The alien girls carried it with him. Their whispers a reminder that he was not just a prisoner, he was their only hope, and deep inside, he swore a silent promise. He would not remain their tool forever. He would turn his burden into a weapon. One day soon, the guards, the robed alien, and the prison itself would learn what it meant to break a human spirit, for humans did not break, they fought. The human was dragged once again into the chamber, his chains clinking against the metal floor. The guards said nothing, their glowing helmets reflecting the dim light. But as soon as the doors opened, the sound of soft cries filled the air. He froze for a moment, his heart tightening, because this time, the alien girls were not silent. They sat in a circle, their bodies trembling, their glowing eyes dull with exhaustion. The smell of chemicals and sorrow filled the chamber. He could see it now. This was not just control. It was torture. Their skin shimmered faintly, yet their faces were pale with suffering. The robed alien stood high on the platform again, its mask glowing with strange runes. "You will continue your work, human," it commanded, its voice cold and sharp. "Remember, their pain is your punishment if you fail." The guards shoved him forward, and the tools were placed in his hands. But today, something was different. The alien girls looked at him not only with fear, but with something deeper, desperation. Their lips moved in whispers, their voices trembling. He knelt beside one of them, a girl with silver skin and glowing white hair. Her chest rose and fell in sharp breaths, sweat dripping down her face. She looked into his eyes and spoke softly, her words broken but clear enough. "We cannot go on." The human's hands shook, his heart aching. He wanted to throw the tools away, to scream, to fight. But the guards' weapons aimed at him kept him frozen. Instead, he lowered his voice, whispering to her, "I will help you. I promise, not forever. Just hold on." Tears filled her glowing eyes, but she gave a weak nod. The human worked as he was forced to, but he did it gently, his hands careful. He whispered to the girls as he moved, soft words of comfort, words of hope, and in their pain, he began to see their humanity, even if they were not human at all. One girl, with blue shimmering skin, whispered between gasps, "We were free once, our skies, our songs, taken from us." Another, her voice weak as a feather, added, "They use us to feed their weapon, endless pain, endless chains." The human's jaw clenched, his heart pounding with anger. So this was the truth. They were not just prisoners. They were fuel for something darker. The robed alien spoke again, its voice rising like a shadow. "They will never stop producing, human. Their bodies have been shaped, their nature twisted. You are here to keep the cycle alive." The words stabbed into his mind like knives. He realized the aliens had taken something natural, something sacred, and turned it into chains. The hours dragged on, every moment heavier than the last. The alien girl's cries grew softer, until silence filled the chamber again, not because the pain had ended, but because they had no strength left to cry. The human's chest felt crushed, guilt pressing on him like a mountain. When the guards dragged him away, his hands were trembling, his face pale. The girls' whispers followed him even in the corridor, their voices echoing in his ears. "Help us. Please, you are different." Back in his cell, he could not sit still. He paced the floor, chains rattling with every step. His fists clenched tight. Their pain burned in his mind, refusing to fade. He felt as if he carried their suffering. Inside him, that night, he heard the secret tapping again. The whispers through the cracks in the wall. This time, several voices came, weak yet united. "We trust you, human. We suffer every day. We cannot escape alone. You must help us." The human leaned close to the wall, whispering back, "I want to, I swear it. But I don't know how yet. The guards watch me every second." A soft reply came, trembling but determined. "Not forever. They will slip. Their arrogance blinds. Them you will see." His mind raced, his heart heavy. He knew now he was not only carrying his own burden, but theirs too. Their pain was endless, their lives stolen, their bodies enslaved, and he was the only one among them with the chance. To fight back, days turned into nights, and nights into more days. The same cruel rhythm repeated, dragged to the chamber, forced to work, forced to watch. But with each passing day, his resolve grew stronger. Every cry, every whisper, every trembling hand reminded him he could not let this continue one evening. As the guards pulled him from the chamber, the silver-skinned girl looked at him once more. Her glowing eyes met his, and though her body shook with weakness, her voice reached him clearly. "Do not let them win, human. Even if we die, let them pay." The words cut into his soul like fire. As the cell door slammed shut behind him, he sat in the darkness, fists tight, his eyes burning with silent rage. The alien girl's pain was no longer only theirs. It had become his, and deep inside, he knew the day would come when their cries would turn into battle, a battle that would begin with him. Asterisk. The cell door opened with its usual hiss, and the guards dragged the human down the endless corridor again. The cold lights above flickered, casting long shadows that twisted across the walls. He knew where they were taking him, back to the chamber of suffering, back to the alien girls. His heart pounded, not from fear alone, but from something stronger, an unspoken promise. When the doors slid open, the sight before him almost broke his spirit. The alien girls sat slumped against the walls, their glowing eyes dim, their bodies weak from endless exhaustion. Yet when they saw him, a spark flickered in their eyes, a silent recognition. They knew he was different. They knew he cared. The robed alien stood high above on the platform, watching as always, its mask glowing faintly with strange runes. "You will continue your task, human," the voice echoed coldly. "Do not forget, their lives depend on you. If they weaken, you pay the price." The guard shoved the tools into his hands again, cold and heavy. But this time, the human moved slower, gentler, his touch careful. The alien girls leaned closer, whispering softly in their broken voices. One voice, faint but clear, whispered, "You. Kind, not like them." He swallowed hard, fighting the lump in his throat. For the first time he dared to answer in a low whisper, "I am not your enemy. I do not want this. I want to help." The alien girl with silver skin looked at him, her glowing eyes wet with tears. Her trembling hand brushed against his wrist, a touch so fragile it almost broke him. That small touch was forbidden. He knew it. The guards' helmets turned sharply, their glowing visors focusing on him. One guard stepped forward, raising its weapon, but the robed alien lifted its hand and stopped him. "Let him work," the robed figure said. "So long as he obeys, it does not matter how." The guard lowered its weapon reluctantly, and the human breathed again. But in that moment, something had changed. He had crossed the line between prisoner and caretaker, between stranger and companion, and the alien girls had felt it too. As he worked, the whispers grew. They told him of their homeworlds, their skies filled with twin suns, their oceans glowing at night, their families lost. Each story was broken, spoken in pieces, but he listened to every word, and with every whisper, he saw them less as victims and more as people, One girl with shimmering green skin began to hum softly. Her voice trembled, but the sound was haunting. Like a song from another universe, the other girls joined slowly, their weak voices weaving together into a melody that filled the chamber. It was not just a song, it was their memory, their culture, their resistance. The human closed his eyes, letting the melody surround him. For a moment, the cold chamber felt warm, alive with something the aliens could not destroy. When the song ended, silence fell. But the connection remained. The human whispered, "You are more than prisoners. You are more than this pain." The silver-skinned girl leaned close again, whispering in broken words, "You give hope. We trust you." Her glowing eyes locked with his, and he felt the weight of their faith. It was dangerous. It was forbidden. But it was also unstoppable. A bond had been formed, fragile yet unbreakable. The robed alien watched from above, its mask unreadable. Perhaps it thought nothing of the whispers. Perhaps it underestimated the power of hope. But the human knew better. Hope was more dangerous than any weapon. That night, back in his cell, the whispers came again. Through the cracks in the wall. But this time, they were not only pleas, they were words of trust. "Human. You listen, you care. You are not like them. One day you will lead us." He sat in the darkness, his heart pounding. The forbidden's connection had grown, and it could no longer be denied. He no longer saw himself as only a prisoner. He was a bridge between them, their voice, their silent strength. Days turned into more cruel shifts, but the bond only deepened. The alien girls began to teach him their secret words, small pieces of their language. They taught him their songs, their symbols, their hidden stories, and he gave them something. They had lost hope that freedom was still possible. One day, as he was forced to work again, the silver-skinned girl leaned close and whispered urgently, "They will kill you if you resist. They will kill us if you fail, but together we can fight." Her trembling fingers slipped something small into his hand, hidden from the guards. It was a shard of broken metal, sharp and strong. The human's eyes widened. He closed his hand around it, hiding it quickly. His heart raced. This was not just connection, it was the first step toward rebellion. The alien girls were risking everything by trusting him, and he could not let their trust die in silence. That night, he sat in his cell, the shard hidden in his chains. He whispered into the darkness, "I swear, I will not let your pain be for nothing." The whispers came back through the cracks, soft but filled with strength. "We believe you, human. We believe." The forbidden's connection was no longer forbiddance. It was alive, it was powerful, and it was dangerous. And soon, the prison would feel the fire of it. The human woke to the sound of chains dragging across the floor. The guards had come again, their black helmets glowing faintly in the cold light. They yanked him from the cell and pulled him through the corridor. But this time, the shard of metal pressed against his skin, hidden in his palm. He had not let it go since the alien girl gave it to him. As they entered the chamber, he looked at the alien girls. Their glowing eyes met his, faint but burning with silent hope. They knew what he carried. They knew what he planned. The robed alien stood above them as always, its mask glowing with runes. "You will continue," it ordered. "There is no end to your duty." The guard shoved him forward. Placing the tools in his hands again, he forced himself to work as they watched, his hands steady though his heart pounded. All the while, his mind raced with the plan he had built from their whispers. The shard of metal was small, but sharp enough to cut a chain or a wire. And tonight, when the guards were careless, he would use it. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the soft cries of the alien girls. He worked carefully, but every movement was part of his plan. He studied the locks, the wires that powered the capsules, the glowing panels on the wall. Every detail was a map in his mind. When the shift ended, the guards dragged him back toward his cell. But just before the door closed, he caught the eye of the silver-skinned girl. She gave the faintest nod, her lips moving silently. Tonight, darkness fell, though in the prison, time had no real meaning. The guards grew lazy. their footsteps slower, their voices faint in. The distance, the human sat against the cold wall, pretending to rest, but inside, his blood burned with determination. When the tapping came through the cracks again, he leaned close, the voices whispered, "The patrol will pass in 10 breaths. Then silence. "That is your chance," he nodded to himself, his hand tightening around the shard. The footsteps came, then faded. Silence filled the corridor, thick and heavy. The human moved quickly. Pressing the shard against his chains, the metal screeched. Softly, sparks flying as he cut. His heart pounded with every sound. But he did not stop, at last. With one sharp pull, the chain snapped. He froze, listening, but no alarm sounded. His wrists were raw, his hands trembling, but he was free. For the first time since his capture, he felt the weight of chains lift. He slipped out of the cell. Keeping to the shadows, the corridor stretched endlessly, glowing faintly with alien lights. He remembered every detail the girls had whispered to him. Left turn, hidden passage, a vent near the chamber. He moved quietly, each step a prayer that the guards would not see him. When he reached the chamber doors, his breath caught in his throat. Inside, the alien girls sat in silence, their eyes closed, too weak to move. He crept closer, slipping through the narrow crack of the half-closed door. The silver-skinned girl's eyes opened slowly, and when she saw him, her lips parted in shock. "You. Free," she whispered. He placed a finger to his lips, motioning for silence. Then he began to cut the locks on their restraints. One by one, the shard was small, but sharp enough. The girl's chains fell quietly to the ground, their glowing eyes wide with disbelief. One of them, her skin shimmering blue, leaned close and whispered, "The control device. On the wall. Break it, and the pain will lessen." The human turned to the glowing panel, wires pulsing with strange light. He drove the shard deep into it, sparks bursting as the lights flickered and died. The girls gasped as if a heavy weight had been lifted from their bodies. For the first time, their trembling slowed. But the moment of victory was short. An alarm blared, red lights flashing across the chamber. The robed alien appeared on the platform, its mask glowing brighter than ever. "Foolish human," its voice thundered. "You dare defy us?" The guards stormed into the room, weapons raised. The human stood in front of the alien girls, his shard clenched tightly. The girls, though weak, pulled themselves closer, their glowing eyes burning with defiance. The silver-skinned girl whispered, "We fight. Together." The first guard lunged, its weapon swinging. The human dodged barely, slashing with the shard, sparks flying as metal scraped against armor. He was no warrior, but desperation made him strong. Another guard grabbed him. But one of the alien girls hurled herself at the guard, claws flashing. Her strength had returned slightly, enough to knock the weapon aside. Chaos filled the chamber, alarms screaming, lights flickering, guards shouting. The human fought with everything he had, his body aching, his arms bleeding, but he refused to stop. Not now. Not when freedom was so close. He cut another chain, freeing another girl. Together, they struck at the guards, weak but united. Then with one final blow, he smashed the control panel completely. The humming sound that had filled the chamber stopped. The alien girls gasped, their bodies shaking as strength rushed back into them. For the first time, they stood tall, their glowing eyes blazing like fire. The robed alien hissed from above, its voice sharp with fury, "You cannot escape, human. They will never let you leave alive." But the human stood with the alien girls beside him, their bodies glowing brighter than ever. He raised the shard high and shouted, "Then let them try." The chamber was chaos, alarms screamed, red lights flashed, and smoke filled the air. The human stood with the shard of metal in his hand, the alien girls beside him, their glowing eyes burning with new strength. For a moment, it felt as if freedom was within reach, as if they could escape this prison together. But in the shadows, something darker was waiting. The guards regrouped quickly, their weapons raised, moving in tight formation. The robed alien still stood on the platform above, its mask glowing with fury. "You think you can fight us, human?" The voice thundered. "You are nothing. You are a tool, and tools are meant to break." The human clenched his fists, sweat and blood dripping down his arms. He turned to the alien girls, whispering urgently, "We have to run now, we can't." "Fight them all." The silver-skinned girl nodded, her trembling hand touching his arm. "There is a hidden passage behind the chamber wall. We can try." They moved quickly, striking at the guards just enough to clear a path. The girls used what little strength they had, their glowing hands pushing back the armored figures. For the first time, they were not only victims, they were fighters. The human's heart pounded with pride and fear, every step pulling them closer to hope. Then it happened. As they reached the side wall, one of the alien girls with golden shimmering skin suddenly froze. Her glowing eyes darted toward the guards, her body trembling with fear. Before anyone could stop her, she shouted in a broken voice, "Here! They are here! Stop them!" The human's blood ran cold. The guards turned sharply, their weapons raised toward the group. The silver-skinned girl gasped in shock, her voice breaking. "Sister, why?" The golden-skinned girl fell to her knees, tears streaming down her glowing face. I cannot take the pain anymore. If I help them, maybe they will spare me." Betrayal cut through the human's heart like a blade. The guards surged forward, striking hard, their weapons slamming against the stone floor. The human grabbed the silver-skinned girl and pulled her aside, his mind racing. The robed alien laughed coldly from above, the sound echoing like thunder. "Foolish creatures, you cannot trust each other. Even your own betray you." The human fought desperately, but the guards overwhelmed him. One slammed a weapon against his back, knocking him to the ground. The shard slipped from his hand, clattering across the floor. The alien girls screamed, trying to protect him, but the guards struck them down with brutal force. The human was dragged to the center of the chamber, blood dripping from his mouth, his chains fastened once again. The robed alien stepped closer, its mask glowing brighter, its voice calm and cruel. "You will understand the truth now, human. The milking, the suffering, it was never about survival. It was never about care. It was about power." The alien waved its hand, and a massive panel on the far wall slid open. Behind it, the human saw something that froze his heart. A giant machine, glowing with strange liquid, connected to countless tubes. The liquid pulsed like living fire, filling chambers with energy. The alien girls gasped in horror, their glowing eyes wide with despair. The robed alien's voice echoed, "Their endless production feeds this. Their pain fuels it. This is the weapon of our empire. Their bodies are the batteries of war." The human's stomach turned, bile rising in his throat. He looked at the alien girls, their faces pale, their tears glowing softly in the red light. They were not only prisoners, they were tools for destruction, forced to power something that could burn entire worlds. The silver-skinned girl whispered weakly, "This is why we are never free. Our bodies are their weapon." The human clenched his fists until blood ran from his palms. The betrayal, the cruelty, the endless suffering, it all exploded inside him as rage. He shouted up at the robed alien, his voice raw, "You will never win. Not while I live." The alien tilted its head, the runes on its mask glowing brighter. "You will live, human, but only as long as you serve us. Your pain, like theirs, will fuel our rise." The guards struck him again, forcing him to his knees. The shard of metal lay just beyond his reach, glinting faintly in the red light. He stretched his hand, his fingertips brushing the cold edge, but the guards pulled him back. The robed alien gave one final command, its voice sharp as a blade. "Take him back to his cell. Let him see what his defiance has cost, and when the time comes, he will serve again." The guards dragged him away, his body bruised, his spirit heavy. Behind him, the alien girls cried softly, their voices broken. One voice whispered faintly through the chaos, "Do not give up, human. You are our only hope." As the cell doors slammed shut, the human collapsed against the cold wall, his breath ragged. The memory of betrayal burned inside him, the golden-skinned girl's voice echoing in his mind. But stronger than the betrayal was the revelation. Now he knew the truth. The endless suffering was not random. It was a weapon only he could destroy. He clenched his fists, his eyes burning in the darkness. The fight was not over, it had only begun, and no matter the pain, no matter the chains, he would not stop. Because humanity did not bow, humanity did not break, humanity fought. The human sat in the darkness of his cell, his body bruised, his breath heavy, his wrists bleeding from the weight of the chains. But his spirit, though battered, refused to break. The memory of the alien girl's pain burned inside him, their glowing eyes filled with suffering, their whispers begging for hope. And the vision of the weapon haunted him, a machine built on endless torment, a machine that could destroy entire worlds. He could not allow it, even if he died here, even if his body was crushed. He would not allow their pain to feed that monster. Forever, humanity was more than survival. It was defiance, it was fire. And that fire now burned inside him. The tapping came again through the cracks in the wall, weak but steady. The voices of the alien girls whispered, "We are still with you, human. We believe in you. We will fight." He pressed his forehead to the cold stone, whispering back, "Then we fight together." Tonight, no more chains. The chance came sooner than he expected. The alarms blared again, the robed alien's voice thundering through the corridors. "Prepare the weapon. The time of testing is near." The guards stormed the cells, dragging him and the alien girls toward the massive chamber. Their glowing bodies trembled with exhaustion, but their eyes flickered with defiance. The weapon towered above them, its tubes pulsing with liquid fire, the sound of it humming like a living beast. The robed alien raised its hands high, its mask glowing brighter than ever. "Behold the power of our empire, born from their endless suffering, fueled by the weakness of flesh." The human's chains rattled as he clenched his fists, his jaw tight with rage. But then he saw it. The shard of metal, still lying near the broken panel where it had fallen before. The guards were distracted, preparing the controls, their attention fixed on the weapon. His heart pounded as he stumbled forward, collapsing as if too weak to stand. The guards laughed coldly, their helmets tilting toward him. But as they turned away, his hand shot out, fingers closing around the shard once more. The silver-skinned girl caught his eye, her lips moving silently. Now, the human surged forward, chains still clinging to his wrists, and drove the shard deep into the nearest control panel. Sparks exploded, alarms shrieked, the lights flickered wildly. The guards shouted in panic, rushing toward him. But it was too late. The weapon roared as its systems spiraled out of control. The alien girls rose, their glowing bodies trembling but filled with new strength. Together they screamed as one, a sound that shook the chamber. They tore free from their chains, striking at the guards with claws and glowing energy. The human fought beside them, his shard flashing with every strike, his body moving with raw fury. The robed alien shouted above the chaos, its voice filled with fury, "You cannot stop destiny. The weapon is eternal." But the human raised his voice higher, his words sharp as fire. "Then I will destroy destiny. Humanity bows to no one." With one final strike, he drove the shard deep into the weapon's core. The chamber filled with blinding light, the ground shaking violently, the sound of metal tearing like thunder. The alien girls shielded him with their glowing bodies, their energy pulsing outward. Together, they pushed back the storm. When the light faded, the weapon lay in ruins, its tube shattered, its liquid fire spilling across the floor like dying blood. The robed alien screamed in rage, its mask cracking, glowing runes fading. It stumbled back, its voice trembling. "This Is not possible. A human cannot. The human stepped forward, blood running down his arms, his eyes burning with defiance. Humans do not break, he said, his voice steady. We fight, we endure, and we win. The alien girls gathered around him, their glowing eyes brighter than ever. For the first time, they stood tall, no longer trembling victims but survivors. The silver-skinned girl touched his shoulder gently, whispering, "You gave us hope. You gave us freedom. We will never forget." The guards fled in chaos, the rogued alien disappearing into the shadows, its empire broken for now. The chamber crumbled, smoke filling the air, but the human and the alien girls pushed forward. Through the broken corridors, through fire and ruin, step by step, they moved toward freedom. When at last the doors opened, the cold night sky stretched above them, stars glittering like a promise. The alien girls gasped, tears glowing on their cheeks. For the first time in endless years, they were free. The human stood with them, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths, his body weak but his spirit blazing. He looked at the stars and whispered, "This is only the beginning. They will come again. But so will we." The alien girls nodded, their glowing eyes fixed on him with trust. They knew the fight was not over, but they also knew one truth. The universe would never forget the human who defied an empire. And from that night onward, a legend was born. The legend of the human who turned chains into weapons, who gave hope to the broken. A story whispered across stars. A story that would burn forever. Because in the end, it was not power, not cruelty, not pain that won. It was humanity, unyielding and unbroken.